Welcome back to my channel. Today we are making soup. It's cold out there, so we're gonna make a nice fresh soup that needs some fresh ingredients, so be prepared. We're gonna start off with quite a bit of chopping. In this recipe we're gonna use onions, we're gonna use carrots and potatoes, and everything needs to be cut, so the majority of your time is going to be spent just here prepping. Okay, so this is kind of painful. It hurt, but you can do it. Chopping these onions, I like to chop mine a little smaller than normal. I find that my kids will eat it easier if they don't really see the onion in there. Also, the recipe calls for a full onion, but I chose to use half because I felt like for us, that's the right amount of flavor. We're not too big on onions, so if you guys really like onion, if your family likes onion, I would say use the whole one. Otherwise, half works fine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move on to my carrots. Peel them, wash them, and chop them. Okay, so the next thing is our potatoes. We're going to do the same thing. Peel them, rinse them, and cut them up in small pieces. Now, just so you guys know, the majority of vegetables in your grocery store are, of course, grown on a farm somewhere. So they're more than likely going to have some kind of pesticides on them, and that's necessary so that bugs and funguses don't grow on your food. But make sure that whenever you go ahead and you peel them, rinse them so that whatever residue is on your hands that you may pass along to them is rinsed off. Alright, my friends, get ready because we're gonna chop again. So with all these vegetables that we're chopping, we're just going to go ahead and set them all aside into a bowl so that when we're ready to put it in the pot to start cooking, it's easy peasy. On to the cauliflower. So I love these packages that H-E-B has of prepared vegetables. Usually they're washed and ready to go, so all I had to do was separate them into smaller pieces. Now I made sure that all of the pieces and all the vegetables that I cut were small enough so that my 5-year-old and my 2-year-old can eat them easy and they wouldn't have to cut. So keep that in mind. If you have smaller kids, chop them up really small and it'll be easy for them to eat. And I went ahead and I put 2 cups of cauliflower instead of 1 just because I thought it made it more filling for us. So I went ahead and I set all my pre-chopped vegetables to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and take my cannellini beans. I'm going to rinse them and drain them. Cannellini beans are really good. They're different in texture, so they have a buttery taste to them as opposed to like pinto or kidney beans, which are a little bit harder. These are really nice and soft. Okay, we're back to that intimidating part in cooking where we put that EVOO, that extra virgin olive oil, into your hot pot or pan. Don't let it freak you out. We're fearless, or we're learning to be fearless. So I'm going to put it in there, and this time I'm going to make sure to wait until that olive oil is nice and hot. If you saw my first video, I went to go fry chicken and I was so impatient and didn't wait until the oil was hot enough, and so my chicken didn't brown the way I wanted to. But this time I wanted to make sure that it was nice and hot, my oil is nice and runny, so I'm gonna go ahead and saute my onions. Okay, so now it's time to add our thyme. Time. Anyway, So we're gonna put the thyme in. It calls for fresh, but I had dry, so I went ahead and used what I had. I'm not going crazy, just use what I got. Once you add this in there, the whole world comes out of the room and they're like, "Mommy, what's that smell? It smells so good and I'm hungry." So be prepared, because it kind of sets your household on fire and everybody's ready to eat. Alright, now it's time to add those carrots and that cauliflower. So you're going to just add them to your pot and start letting them cook down. A couple of tips. So when you add your vegetables into this pot, you got to make sure that you're just checking on them. If you leave them for a little while, sometimes they can tend to get a little bit toasted on one side. So give them a good little mix in there and make sure they're cooking on all sides. Now, to know if your cauliflower is ready, it'll go from that really white look to a more translucent. You can kind of see through it. So that's how you can kind of tell if it's ready. And the same with the carrot. So keep your eye on it and keep mixing it around so it doesn't cook too much on one side as opposed to the other. Okay. So here's a really good example of me testing out this carrot to see if it's soft, and obviously it's not. I had to use a little bit of muscle to try to get my carrot on the fork, so I'm gonna give it some more time. Once my cauliflower got a little bit more see-through, I went ahead and put my garlic in there. Now, be forewarned, garlic will cook super fast and it will burn super fast, and it doesn't taste good and it smells stinky. So keep an eye on it. As soon as you put that garlic in there, mix it around and just let it toast. Don't let it burn. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add my 5 cups of chicken broth, and this really gives some good flavor to your meal as opposed to just putting water, so I highly recommend getting the broth. Okay, so after you've gotten your potatoes and your beans into your pot really nicely, go ahead and put the lid on it and set your timer to 10 minutes and let it just simmer in that pot so those flavors can intertwine and intermingle inside. That kind of reminds me of Ratatouille when he's like eating the cheese and with the grape and the song that comes into his mind. Just let them sit there and marinate with each other. And in the meantime, you can get some bread and butter it and toast it. Okay, so by now you could probably guess I'm not the most patient person in the world. So I have to go find something else to do in the meantime besides toast my bread, or else I will just keep opening that pot until it's ready, because number 1, I'm hungry, and number 2, I'm impatient. Another excuse to open my pot, but it's legitimate because I have to put my pepper and I have to put my salt. So don't forget it, it's critical. Salt and pepper are the basics of seasoning, so make sure that whatever you make, it always has salt and pepper. At least that's what Giada De Laurentiis says. Finally, my timer went off. Everything is nice and tender. It's ready to go. Everything's been marinating. So go ahead, serve it up in your bowl, sit down with your family or by yourself and just enjoy your creation. Well, second video, second recipe. I think I'm getting an A so far in consistency class, but I just wanted to let you know my ratings on this recipe. So this recipe is honestly one that I use pretty frequently in my family, especially when the cold weather hits. Now, from Texas, originally from Florida, so cold weather is like 40 degrees, 30 degrees. So I know for some people that's summer, but for me it's not. So I like a nice warm soup or stew or a chili during that time, and I think it's really nice for the kids and for the family. But like I said, this one isn't my first time. I've done this one quite a few times before and it's always been successful. So the ease of this meal, it's like a 5 out of 5. It's so easy to make. I like to just chop up everything ahead of time, but man, it takes maybe like max 30 minutes for everything, prep time and everything. Because you're not having to deal with meat, it also makes things go by so much quicker too. Every once in a while, I like to give it a rest with meats and chicken and seafood. Sometimes I feel like I feel sluggish. My digestive system just feels like it's hanging there with all that meat in your system. So it's nice for me to have something, you know, that kind of is easy on the system. So it's one that I go to often when it's cold, and my kids eat it really well. So family friendliness, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Even if your kids don't like cauliflower, you could put something in there, but carrots and potatoes, it's filling and it's not overly filling. I also usually put like, either I'll get Hawaiian rolls and I'll serve it with some warm Hawaiian rolls, or like I did, I put it with some of that Dave's power bread or something like that. Yeah, so you can use chicken in it, you can use beef in it, you can make it completely vegan and take out the chicken stock and use vegetable stock only. And that really works out well too. It's really good. And just to let you moms know out there, I know it's cauliflower, and cauliflower is kind of like, I don't know if my kid's gonna like that. But once you cook it and you let it simmer with all of those other spices in there, you can barely taste it. And it feels like it's just, it's almost just like a filler. You can't really taste anything to it. You can just taste the seasonings. So give it a try. Let your kids try it out. Let them pick out the carrots and eat only the carrots, or eat the carrots and the potato, or whatever. So let me know what you think, and if you have a recipe that you want me to try, put it in the comments below, or follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Message me, put a comment up there, let me know. I'd like to try out some new stuff. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.